This meeting is beginning, says the sign. So this is Nina Brown in Santa Fe, and I'm so glad you're joining us again in this series that has been focused on a concept which we refer to as S.T.A.R, philosophy, surrender, trust, allow, receive. And what is so unique about these monthly broadcasts on Google Hangout is that I have the privilege of not only joining people around the planet, but my publisher, Jaylene Clark of Gather Insight, and our co-author for the upcoming book, S.T.A.R Philosophy, The Fascinated Observer's Guide, Christy Sweetland, is joining us, and some other guests as well. So let's begin with a bit of a conversation with Jaylene and Christy, and then we'll open it up to those who have gathered with us. Jaylene, just say hi and wave so we can see you.
Hello.
And Jaylene is waving from Oklahoma.
Yes, Broken Arrow, Oklahoma.
How cool is that? I mean, how Wild West.
Yes. Well, I would say Santa Fe was probably Wester.
I know, but Santa Fe doesn't sound like Broken Arrow. I mean, that's got cowboy boots on or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And Christy, you're in my beloved Santa Fe, just down the road from me. Can you make some noise so we can see you?
Hello, good to be here today in lovely Santa Fe.
I love it. And look who we've got so far. We've got Marlene in the Netherlands. You want to say hi, Marlene?
Hello.
Marlene has joined us a couple of times. And now, finally, we have gotten Kathleen in Massachusetts to come out of hiding and not be a listener, but to be a participant. Can you say hi, Kathleen?
Hi, everyone. Really nice to be here.
Beautiful. Well, welcome. This is going to be a whole lot of fun. So now the fun question is, to whom am I going to direct my initial question, which is, what is grace? I mean, heavens to Betsy, what is grace? And so because I love Christy and I don't want to lose her, I'm going to pass. And since I know Jaylene has already answered the question in an email, Jaylene, just play around with it for us, because I know you wrote me that grace is as confusing to define as love because an infinite number of definitions exist.
Yes, I'm feeling this more and more in my life, that you can't put a singular definition on what grace is because it's going to be based on personal perspective. Just like our ability to give and receive love is based on our own personal experiences in our life, our ability to receive grace is no different than our ability to be able to understand what in the world love is. When I look up the word love in the dictionary, I think that last time I looked there were over 40 definitions for that one little bitty 4-letter word.
Oh my gosh, and it didn't start with sex and passion?
No. And then it goes into these segments. Well, there's this kind of love, and there's this kind of love, and you put this modifier with it, and then poof, then it becomes this other kind of love, and it just expands and expands. But it's a very complicated word that people have a hard time understanding what it is. But grace, like love, can be experienced easier than it can be defined. And I think the other thing that I'm understanding more and more about grace is that it's like a fingerprint. I've got the thumbprint, I've got fingerprints that are totally unique to me. And I think my definition of grace is going to be unique to me, while Christy's will be different to her, and Nina's will be different to her, and my dog Rosie would tell you that grace is when she gets a pepperoni. She doesn't matter how many times she gets pepperoni, it's grace every time. And if someone happens to drop a piece of cheese on the floor, oh my gosh, hallelujah. That's grace for her. So I think grace is personal.
Astounding. And thank you for the, I'm going to call it the courage to jump right in there. But Christy, one of the definitions that I saw in Wikipedia or Webster's seemed to me to be on a totally different octave that we are now considering. And it had something to do with the removal of God's grace because of the removal of sin or something to that nature. Do you think that is a definition that we can bump up or expand? And
well, I can't connect with the concept of the sin with my own lens, but similar, because like what Jaylene was saying, grace in my own life is the absence of expectation, where I can simply walk outside and receive gifts of grace without analyzing them or explaining them away, or grace happens in tiny instances, and grace happens in profound miracles. And I don't think I'd be able to receive that if I were coming from a foundation of where I felt like I was a sinful being. So maybe there is some connection.
well, I just have to throw in my 2 cents here.
Mm-hmm.
And my truth, I think you're perfect. I think as a sovereign being, you are perfection, and you are expressing perfection, speaking perfection, thinking perfection, experiencing perfection. How could it be otherwise? So maybe one day we'll have a Google Hangout about the word sin. That might be fun. But I guess my own answer to my own question is I think that's an old definition. Mm-hmm. And is not relevant to the work that we're doing. It's new energy, time, expansion on definitions and experience. So I just wanted to share with everybody that in my inner voice, in my inner wisdom, one of the things I heard was that lots of sages throughout the eons, centuries, have played with this academically, philosophically, emotionally, and non-verbally, and that they're present in this conversation. Hopefully they're inspiring the dialogue, but most importantly, in the words that we speak, the thoughts that we are expressing, they are joining us in the quantum field in emitting this very high frequency of contemplation out into the quantum field. So in my truth, again, this is no small conversation we're having. And it also precedes by 2 days the opening of the Harmony portal. And I believe that what my inner wisdom has been saying is that grace, however you define it, is sort of the gateway for harmony and peace. So I think we're doing some pretty powerful work here today. So here's a question, and then maybe we'll get to some experiences. Are we in a state of grace right this minute?
Oh, yeah.
Jaylene?
Why not? I would question you right back at you, Nina. Why not?
Oh, and here we go, boomerang, Christy. No, I think so. I think so. Because obviously my life is so entangled with the philosophy of S.T.A.R, and I think I'm getting closer and closer to 24/7. I'm going to make that a verb, 24/7ing. The S.T.A.R philosophy. And I think if I were to try to put grace in a box, which I think we are all saying is close to impossible, it would fit really nicely with S.T.A.R. As Christy said, no expectation, um, joy in the moment, being in the moment, and having no emotional pull from the past or the future. And I think that's exactly what we're doing. I feel totally. And also, what are we doing? We are trusting the field that whatever we're up to is perfect. I mean, I don't have an agenda that's now we're going to do this, now we're going to do that, and we're going to end up with this conclusion. It's free fall, free flow. So, yeah. How about you, Christy? What do you think?
I agree with that. I'm in a state of grace right now. I know that. It was kind of like what Jaylene said earlier. It's something that's felt maybe rather than verbalized. But just sitting in the presence of all of you, and I don't know Marlene and Kathleen, but I know that if they're here, I'm safe, and they're in that state of grace with me. I know that I can say and be whoever I need to be as the energy flows, and I will be held in grace by their presence. So, yeah, it feels very strong to me too.
Wow, that actually had an energetic impact on me as you were speaking, broadening the circle to verbally include everybody present and the energy and the warmth and the love. That was really astounding. And of course, that also includes the viewers, and those who will be viewing in the future. So, wow. So another fun question that I've played around with, and then maybe we'll share some experiences where we've been absolutely aware of grace in our lives. Can we be in a state of grace in the middle of chaos?
Oh, definitely.
What do you think, Jaylene?
I think that's my preference. I think that's my preference. If I'm going to be in chaos, and it's a huge challenge in my life, in particular in the past 12 months, where it almost feels like that. Are y'all still there? Okay, you're still with me, okay?
Yeah.
I thought maybe I got pushed off for a minute, but
A little chaos.
yeah, a little chaos. So there's these things going on around the world. There's things going on inside of my life unit right now, and I watch people around me experiencing very significant levels of chaos. And grace is when I can stand with them in the chaos and not be taken under by what they're going through, but I can still observe what they're going through, being present with them as it happens, but I shall not be moved into that chaos. So my preference is staying in a state of grace while I'm in chaos. It's really hard, but it's possible.
Well, you know, that last sentence is so powerful because Christy helped me with this, but did Jaylene not say a couple of months ago that it wasn't?
That it wasn't what?
Possible to be the observer in the middle of intimate chaos, tragedy.
Oh.
Way back in December. No, you can't write that in the book because I can't do it. And then...
Well, I don't know if she said it that strongly.
That's how I felt it, I mean, for sure. Anyway, the point is, what a remarkable shift. Oh, Kimberly, look, you're almost an apparition. Anyway, whenever you get a voice, say hi, and then we'll continue. Oh, almost. There you go. Say hi. Wonderful.
Hello.
Kimberly, we're gonna sort of keep talking here for a few minutes, and then we're going to open it up to everybody. And we're deep in the question of, can one be in a state of grace while in the middle of chaos? So, Christy, what do you think about that?
Grace for me shifts chaos. So I kind of feel like for my own truth, it's a little bit of a, I'm not sure that when I connect with my grace, when I connect with a state of grace, the chaos seems to halt. And I love chaos too, believe me. I'm a fire element. I'm all about chaos. But I feel like when I'm really truly in the eye of, or swirling in the hurricane, connecting with a state of grace stops the chaos around me. So for my own personal reality, I'm not sure if the two meet in my life. I don't know.
Well, let me play with that for a second, and I'll use the example of tsunami, radiation, flooding in the house, any of those things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe you're saying that the flooding will stop as a miracle.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe what you're suggesting is that as being in a state of grace, you are exuding love to the experience and shifting the power that it would have over the individual. And I would suggest it also shifts the power that that experience might have over both the experience and other people in the experience. Is that a good interpretation?
It is, and I'm not so sure that I switch into a place of love. Actually, in the middle of powerful chaos, what grace means to me is that I become the observer. And so what happens is I leave my place of judgment, which is that this situation is bad, this situation is scary, this situation hurts. And I'm able to just be with the tornado or be with the flood without feeling love or hate, just sort of becoming it. I don't know if that even makes sense.
It makes, oh, Joanne, how wonderful. Joanne, say hi, and then we'll get back into this three-way conversation for a second and open it up. Can you just wave and say hi or cough or something?
Hello. I just came in from the garden. I forgot.
Yes,
I didn't realize how long I was out there trimming bushes, so
I love
I just
it.
ran back in, got my glass of water, sat down.
We're almost finished with the sort of the initial section, and then we'll do a free-for-all. What I'd love to do is shift into experiences and hope that Christy and Jaylene can participate in that as well. I'd like to start by sharing with you what happened to me last night. I was deep in sleep, which is so wonderful when it happens because I'm usually so busy in the middle of the night. And I remember very, very clearly, which is also unusual, that at the time I was sitting at a table with some other people, and I knew absolutely that I was on an enormous ship, and transatlantic, something like that. And all of a sudden, this enormous wave came. Oh, gosh, I can feel it as I'm speaking. It was so real. This enormous wave came, and it rocked the boat, but it not only rocked the boat, this enormous transatlantic liner, but it flipped it 100% over. And within a couple of milliseconds, the room was 3/4 filled with water. So what happened to me was, in a split second, I knew that within another split second, I was going to die. And what I heard myself say was, "Thank you." And then I woke up. So I think what happened is my body was having an experience of profound grace. There was no fear, absolutely no fear. There was no discussion about the future or poor me or anything. It was thank you for my life. And I accept what experience I'm having right now, and I'm going to move into it with grace. And fortunately, I woke up. So I didn't have to go through the whole experience. Because I might have changed my mind. Anyway, and I can think of other experiences, but this one is hot off the press. And it really surprised me. I was surprised that I wasn't afraid and didn't have all those other Titanic movie experiences of trying to escape and run and all that. It just was. Anyway, so Jaylene, do you have a oldie but goodie?
Sure, I do. I have an oldie but goodie. Okay, this is, for me, it's an example of a couple of elements pulled together. One is grace. And it was a few years ago, my husband and I had been split up for a while, and then we got back together. And we went to church one Sunday morning, and when we were coming out of church, he was like, "What do you want? You can have anything that you want. What do you want? What do you really want in your life?" And I said, "I want a Maltese puppy. I really want a puppy. I'm ready to have a puppy again." And we left the church parking lot, and there was a car parked behind the Ross Dress for Less store, and there was a woman in a car that had Maltese puppies for sale. And so we pulled into the parking lot. I was like, "Oh my God, there it is. There's Maltese puppies for sale. They're right there." We pull in. It's really cold outside. We sit in the car with her, and we say, "There's a little boy puppy. He's just absolutely adorable. It's exactly what I wanted." And then something stopped me, and I said, "Tom, we can't take this one home with me. I don't know what's going on, but we can't take him home with me." So we went home, and the next day, I was actually on with Kimberly Maroney. We were having one of the sessions when we launched the Beatitudes book. And right after that session was over with, we got a phone call that Tom's mom had passed away. My husband's mom had passed away in a car wreck. And she gave us Rosie and Frosty, which are two Maltese, when she passed away. So that's an example of an enormous amount of grace in my life, because, not only did we get exactly what we wanted, we also didn't get what we wanted at the same time. But yet, the grace was that instead of just getting any puppy, she gave us Rosie and Frosty when she passed. Wow. And as I say that, I can hear Frosty over here snoring.
Oh, all the stories I've heard, I've never heard that one. This is really, really beautiful. Thank you.
It was just lovely, and I really do think that she wanted us to have them, and I really do think that her death for her was in a way a grace. She didn't want to go to an old folks home. She didn't want to live alone, but she was living alone at that time. She left her funeral planning papers on her bed that evening before she got in the car. I mean, it was just a lot of angst, but at the same time, an enormous amount of grace. So I think grace can be found in death in abundance.
Yeah. Wow. So I'm just in awe. Christy, please share with us.
Sitting here trying to think of the story of grace that I would like to share, and I guess this came to mind. Last summer, I really enjoy the birds. In the spring, in the summertime, in the fall, when the hummingbirds are here, it's like my whole world changes. I find them to be such incredibly powerful little beings, and just sitting out on my patio, and we live in a valley of Santa Fe, and I have hundreds of them in my backyard at any one time. And I was just sitting there one day, in this just this feeling of just pure love, just being surrounded by them. And anyways, two of them got into a fight, and they completely lost their senses because they were chasing each other and yelling at each other, and they both hit the window. And in my horror, they just felt like little rocks right to the ground. And so, oh my God, I scooped them up in my hand, and I was sitting there, and whenever a bird hits the window or something, I have this tendency where I be with them. It's like I don't want to interfere, but I just send them love. And I was just doing this, and I had a hummingbird in each hand, and I could just feel the electricity just coursing through my body. These little tiny beings, and they have so much energy. It almost hurt. They were vibrating at such a high frequency, and I just sat there, and they woke up completely lucid, and they sat in my hand and kind of looked at each other like, didn't like each other, but they kind of just were accepting each other, both in my hands. They sat there for 10 minutes.
Whoa.
They even would walk around a little bit. It's not like they would shake their head, they would flutter their little wings, and they both sat there. And at the very same moment, they both flew away at the same time. And in my hand, one was clutching a little tiny white rock. And the only thing I can think of is that when he fell to the ground, he was kind of flexing, and he picked up a rock. I mean, I don't think he was going to throw it at the other guy. I don't know. It was in his little talon, and he left it in my hand, a little white, perfect white rock. And I just felt in that moment that it was like payment, like it was a little gesture of gratitude. And I can't even imagine a moment where I felt more grace than it was like I was completely one with nature. It was such a moment of grace for me.
And Christy, you want to know something? Those little birdies, they're in a situation similar to this, and they're telling the same story.
In their little star circle.
Oh, there was this wonderful woman, and she came. And all we could give her was a stone. And
Yeah.
Oh, betcha. Okay, let's shift gears here, and really, look at how many people are joining us, and such magnificent masters and beings. Marlene, we'll just sort of start on the right. Free flow. Any thought at all that you have about grace? Anything that we've said? Any questions?
Well, I was just before the session. I was looking in the dictionary about the Dutch word of grace, and I found for my Dutch friend who is listening now, I hope, genade. It's in Dutch, actually, the word. But I was just thinking of how to shift into an English experience description. But I noticed that I'm resonating now with my sessions on a deeper level because I got in contact with networking for people who are really stuck in their lives at the moment. For example, this week another person will show up. I met her already live, and she said, well, I don't know why I am on the planet at the moment. So I have the feeling if she's coming to my house for a session for 2 hours now, I have to reconnect her to her divine, actually to her sovereign being feeling. And actually, I did it also with another person, and in 2 hours, it was really shifting. That she got her energy back, and I find that a really sort of grace I feel if I can help such a person in such a short time to reconnect with things they have forgotten actually, and to get new life energy back.
Well, it's as if you are fulfilling your life's purpose, and that fills you with grace.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And I didn't mention Marlene's from the Netherlands. And she is the first in Europe in this short period of time who is not only sharing the S.T.A.R philosophy, but is about to receive a box of the books to distribute and to pull together S.T.A.R circles in the Netherlands and who knows where else. So enormously grateful to you. And what I love about that is S.T.A.R does not belong to me, doesn't belong to Jaylene, Christy. It's in the hands of each one of us to grow in the Sacred Heart. Thank you, Joanne. We had that conversation a couple of weeks ago about philosophy and the new definition of it. So it's a heartfelt expression of this concept that each person has just a little different take on. So, Kimberly, how about off mute and just, no, you haven't been on before, so share a little bit about who you are and about your angels and how they view grace. No, mute off. We can't hear you. Mute off.
I'm trying.
There
Oh,
you go.
there.
You had it for a moment.
Take your time. There's a no, it's okay. In the upper sort of center.
There, I got it. I got it.
Perfect. Welcome to Google Hangout.
I was clicking on the mute button and nothing was happening.
Wow. Oh, and Yvonne, look who's there. Yvonne will get you to introduce yourself in a little bit. So, Kimberly, please introduce.
I'm so happy to be here with you today. So, grace, one of my favorite topics. I have been blessed with many experiences of grace. Some of them have come in the midst of very difficult challenges in life. Others of them have come at the most wonderful moments of life. But the thing for me that particularly speaks of grace is a direct experience with the divine. So, Jaylene mentioned a book that we did together a while back about the embrace of grace. That was certainly one. That was a remarkable experience of grace that happened with Mother Mary during a time in my life that was really wonderful. The one that I want to talk about, though, was the probably the greatest epiphany in my life. This happened maybe a little over 20 years ago when I was very ill. I was deeply embedded in my spiritual path, and I was almost dead. So I couldn't read. I'd forgotten how to read. I was in horrific pain, so I couldn't see very well. I couldn't hear very well. Everything hurt. I couldn't eat anything. I'd had to quit working. I was on disability, and about all I could do was lie on a sofa with a pillow over my eyes and pray. It was in that state of deep prayer one day that I had one of the most profound experiences of grace that I've ever had. So I was praying a very hard prayer. I was praying, Lord, I don't care what you do with me. I just have to feel you now. When you think about it, that's a pretty scary prayer. I don't care what you do with me, as long as I can feel you now. I was prepared, speaking of surrender, I was prepared to die. It was actually my preference to die. But there was some part of me that knew that the challenges I was having were linked with separate will. So I surrendered that desire to die. I was willing to continue living in the pitiful state of suffering that I was in. I was willing to get well and be of service. I was willing for anything to happen. The only thing that mattered to me in this state was that I could feel God directly. That prayer was so deep and so profound that my inner vision opened. I could see in my inner vision, the ceiling disappeared in my living room, and the heavenly host The heavenly host came into my living room. Millions of angels came into my living room to hold me in an embrace of love and grace that was way beyond anything that my little mind could ever make up. It was an amazing experience. In that embrace of love, my pain disappeared, which was the first time I'd been without pain in over 2 years. And in that embrace of love, I knew that who I was wonderful. It wasn't about what I could do or who I thought I was or what I knew. It was simply my pure being. So the biggest grace was having an experience that who I am, just my sheer being, is an amazing, beautiful, loving creation of the divine that is unique. And just that being itself is it. It's the grace. Now, from that, in that state of connection, I was also asked to create a bridge to spirit, which became my angel blessings cards. And through that, I've had many other experiences of grace. But to be held in the embrace of eternal love, knowing that who I am in my existence, just my very being, is loved, that is grace.
Kimberly, I just can't thank you enough, and particularly grateful that we are on broadcast, because this recording is being captured and will go out to, who knows, hundreds, hopefully thousands of people around the planet. And your testimony is not only profound, but so beautifully shared, and the frequency that has been emitted with each word that you spoke is for sure going all across the planet. So thank you so much, and thank you for the courage to go through all that.
Yeah.
Joanne, I think I'm skipping over somebody here, but I can't see her. Kathleen. So Joanne, you want to go ahead, and we'll get Kathleen next?
Oh, sure. First thing I'd like to say is
okay. Yeah. Take it easy.
Grace to me is sort of another word for unconditional love, which is remind me of your name again, the lady with the angels.
Kimberly.
Kimberly, which is what Kimberly was talking about in her experience. Because once you've had that feeling, it's not something you ever forget. And I had an experience. I wasn't in as much trouble as you were. I was just doing a kinesiology thing with a friend of mine, and when we get together, the energies kind of exponentially explode. But she was holding my shoulder, and I felt this incredible feeling that I don't even know how to express it. I had to let go of her after a few minutes because I didn't think I could even hold it in my body. It was so powerful. And it was this sense of just total love and acceptance that had no place in time. It couldn't end because it never began, because it was always there. Even though it's not something that I don't think it would be practical to actually feel that level of that intensity every single second. I don't know. Kimberly can maybe tell me if that's possible. But I didn't sense so much things around me as kind of a column of light thing inside of my body, and so I was trying to hold it, carry it, and it was overwhelming and sort of the definition of beauty in a way too, I guess. Can I share something with you that I wrote a long time ago about grace? Because I did a talk at my Unitarian church many years ago on this subject, and at that time we had a newborn baby in the congregation whose name was Grace. And she was kind of a miracle baby because her mother had already had kids who were already teenagers, and she'd gotten married again, and this was the sort of love child with her second husband, and I had wrote this poem as part of that presentation. It's called Grace of Life. Corn silkened hair, skin like angel breath, touching, tasting, embracing life's depth. Cooing baby babbles, sing a tune of light, a moon shaft lullaby for our dreaming night. You're here to love me, she whispers and squeals. Worship me as you are. I'll love you for free. Powder blue eyes see deep in our hearts. I know you, she says. I know who you are. Innocence takes flight on infant angel wings. I am not afraid, so spread your own wings and soar with me on thermals of grace, keeping our hearts open to see God's face. That's it.
Wow.
Lovely.
Oh, and I bet you that baby who's probably a young child now is just
Oh,
vibrating.
she's a teenager now, and just into high school, I think.
I bet she felt you reading that and us listening to it because
Oh yeah.
we're
Well, the cool
impacting.
thing was that she created love everywhere she went because she would be passed from person to person in the congregation, and these older men who weren't used to holding babies would pick her up and their whole faces would change. So she was
Wow.
like a gift of grace to everyone.
Joanne, that's beautiful. Really, thank you so much. And I just so appreciate that you join us so often because you're just, yes, right. Proud publisher. I
It's
love
fun.
it. I just want to acknowledge you because you seem to enjoy these broadcasts so much, but you contribute so much. Your wisdom and your life's experience. I just always learn and expand and am inspired by you. So thank you. So Kathleen, you've kind of settled down, and maybe we can hear from you in any regard.
Yeah, sorry. I had to leave for a phone call that was twice coming in, so I didn't know how to do that. Hope I didn't disturb things.
Anything. All is well, but do share with us from Massachusetts.
Going back to the first part of the conversation when Christy and Jaylene and you, Nina, were talking about, I'm feeling like the fluidity of grace, that you can't contain it. It doesn't have a definition. It is much like love, that it's a very personal experience. I just wanted to say that I concur with all of that, it's sort of evolved for me over time, from something that I thought was outside of me to something that I'm aware of now moves through me. And it's just a matter of, am I allowing it to express itself as fully as it could be in whatever my circumstances is at the moment. And so starting from there, I've been blessed with extraordinary, other than usual experiences like Kimberly's, and like yours, Christy, the birds. I have a similar nature story. This was 2 days in a row last autumn. The first day I was going out to my car to go to work, and something told me to pay attention to one of the bird feeders that I put out that was relatively near the car. And that's not usually something I did on a day that I was going to work. I filled them on the days that I wasn't working. So it wasn't part of the routine. But I went, and a little bird was trapped inside. And if I hadn't gone, he wouldn't have made it. He couldn't have gotten out on his own. So I had the deep honor of being able to go, being able to project peace to this little being who was so distressed, and to offer everything that I would have hoped could have been offered to me from life to this little one in this situation. And not only did it come out, when I took the lid off, one of his little wings was kind of jammed up against the corner. I asked him first and asked for the grace to be able to assist without hurting him. And so I put my hand in and was able to unwrap his little wing and bring him up. He just
Oh dear. Kathleen, we're having a little transmission trouble here.
And on my backyard steps was a snake skin, and I collect snake skins.
Wow.
And so I thought, isn't this remarkable? I don't even know what to do with all of this in my head, but my heart is just so full of what the offerings are here, both ways. And that's a big part of grace for me, is being aware of what's there that we just get a chance to, is my not even radar, but I'm going to say that, is my radar open enough right now to be able to take it all in? And it doesn't matter whether it is or isn't, it's the state of allowing those blessed opportunities to enter our lives. I think that's how grace is playing out for me right now. And in the chaos part, oh yeah, it's the being able to, it's being consciously aware that there is this place that you can go to and tap into and say, I need some right now. I need a ballast. I need something where I'm not flowing from one side to another with everybody else's stuff, even though it's all around me. So I think I was trying to just pick up a little bit on how everybody else had presented it and say, I get you all. I experience it in similar sorts of ways. It's so expansive and it's so remarkable and it's so undefinable and so personal all at once.
And I think you're sort of summing up here, which is as academic and cerebral as we want to get. Let's go back to Diane Ely and say, lighten up. It can't be defined properly at all. By the way, Kathleen, I would love to have on record before we go to Yvonne, what happened to you March of 2013?
In my birthday is tomorrow, and so the week of spring of the equinox each year, I'm like a textbook case of amped up. Already done the, like, you know, getting the spring cleaning thing going, and I'm feeling the energy coming through. I live in New England, so I feel the energy coming through all the winter trees coming into springtime thing. And last March, at the week of my birthday, I had, in a dream, in sleep time and dream time, message came to me twice during that week, and it simply said S.T.A.R. Surrender, trust, allow, receive. And a couple of nights later, I got it again. Didn't know what it was, didn't know what I was supposed to do with it. It resonated really great, and I told my friend Donna about it just so I could anchor it somewhere. And I used it all of last year to go through my story, you know, whatever's coming on my path. And it was amazing, and it helped so much. And then it wasn't until about, I think it was the beginning of December, that I learned about Nina and the book and y'all. And I have been listening to Nina a couple of times, or these things recorded afterwards a couple of times, and it was on the second one that I just had to let Nina know how I was receiving what she was offering, and then I told her that how S.T.A.R. had been coming into my world. And so we've sort of been in this parallel development. Then when she told me, when we were talking the last time, she told me that you all published the book in March of that week of last year, I was like, this is really amazing. This is really phenomenal. So I basically got the message as soon as you were putting it out to the universe.
I love it. I love it. Well, you know, and Yvonne will be right there, but I just have to share with all of you that in with my inner voices and my desire, my intention to touch every person on the planet, which probably will be pretty difficult since I'm going to be 70 in 3 months, that it will be crystal dragon speakers who will carry the word around the planet. And that's who you are. It's everybody who has an interest and who cares about this philosophy and will share it in your own unique voice. So I thank you so much for that. So Yvonne, my dear friend of many, many years, off mute, please, off mute.
Hello. The line was not always. Would you like me to share my brief experience of grace recently?
I want you to do spontaneously what gives you pleasure.
Well, my recent experience of grace was realizing to fall into the arms of the love that I am and just surrender to whatever was going to show up and share and feel, and it's really living in the moment, and I'm getting much better at it, and it's really good.
Yeah,
it's
but
almost beyond words.
Give us some background here. That's important.
Short and sweet this time.
No, that's too short and too sweet. So if you don't mind. Bossy Nina, your story is so profound that we even put it in the newsletter a couple of months ago. But it's a great message, and I think is going to touch the hearts, no matter how many times you tell it. Many, many, many. So kind of begin at the beginning. Yvonne!
Oh, I didn't get all what you said, sorry.
We need more!
Your voice is...
More!
Your voice is cracking a little.
Marlene, can you tell her? Marlene?
She cannot hear us, you think?
Well, say it in Dutch and tell her we want more of the story.
Ja, Yvonne, je moet toch wat meer uitleggen over de situatie, zegt Nina.
Sorry?
I think we surrender to the field and we let Yvonne off the hook.
Yeah.
That's my vote.
It's not to be.
That is so funny.
Do you want me to say a little bit more about my story?
Yeah.
Okay. You mean the hospital bit? Or another bit?
Hospital bit.
The hospital bit? Is that what you would like me to share? Okay.
Yes.
Well, here we go. I got it now. I'd like to share the surrender that when my body had a pulmonary embolism and I was taken off to hospital. And after 10 days of sedation, woke up in a hospital bed, and I was feeling fine. I surrendered to it, and I was praying and connecting to the Ascended Masters, and the days carried on, and had very good connections with dear friends that came by, and
Oh, funny. I think she's frozen.
Yeah.
This will teach you, Nina, to push.
She lost contact, I'm afraid.
it's been a long time coming, Lisa,
It's a pity.
and I've had some additional information, and it's all been such a blessing in preparation, and being the visual in the astral, realize clear and
Not coming through.
No, sorry, Yvonne. It's just not meant to be.
No, it's not. Well, you're going to have to write a book, Jaylene. That's the only.
Yep.
Oh gosh. Well, you know, we're. Thank you, Yvonne. If you can hear me, I love you, and you've
A
told
little
your
bit,
story.
yeah.
You've told your story so many times that I think a lot of people can go back
You
on
can
some of
put
the.
a download link on your site from the old newsletters, so people who are new can read the old newsletter stories.
I think that's a great idea, and also some of the broadcasts, because Yvonne's been a participant for a long time. So we're coming up 5 minutes to the end of the hour, and I just would love for everyone to sort of say bye-bye in their own unique way. How about we start with Joanne and work our way to the right?
Well, I'm glad you brought up this topic of grace, because to me it's just this wonderful release of expectations and filling up with unconditional love. There are no requirements. You don't have to do anything to get this love. Just be who you are, and that's it. I mean, that's what's so nice about it. It's no strings attached. So, blessings, everyone.
Oh, thank you, Joanne. Really, thank you, thank you. And Kathleen?
I thank you also for bringing up the topic of grace. It's Grace's gentleness right now that's touching me the most. It just holds such sweet, gentle energy. And like I said previously, it's just always right there, available, and that's such a gift. But to be able to come on board today and participate with all of you, I also want to say thank you. I feel I've got a unique particular with Grace today, because I was able to come this way and be with you instead of just listening, and that was absolutely lovely. And I thank you all for who you are and for what you're bringing, and all the light that's shining because of this. It's just remarkable. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Kathleen. I really appreciate it. So, Kimberly, you're out in California, right?
Yes, yes. And we are being graced with some beautiful weather out here. But Grace, I love having the opportunity to gather together with beautiful souls, kindred spirits, to talk about the presence of grace in a way that's so beautiful, that captures many different aspects of our lives, from the little sweet creatures in nature and to the deep inner experiences that we have. Grace is so present for us all the time. All we have to do is just remember and connect.
So, Kimberly, we can find out more about you on Jaylene's website, Gather Insight. But what's the name of your book?
Mm-hmm.
What's the name of your book?
My Angel Connection, the Guidebook to Interactions with Angels, is one, and The Embrace of Grace is the one that applies most to this topic.
Beautiful. Wow. And what an honor to have you on the call.
Mm-hmm.
So, Marlene in the Netherlands, do you want to say ciao ciao?
Yeah, it was nice to talk more deeply about the word grace, and I love to share it in my sessions with people who are coming into my life for help. So it's another expression of S.T.A.R. It's good to know more about it now, to be more aware of it.
And Marlene is featured in the to be published today, tomorrow newsletter, and there is a actual video that she did, and it's all about S.T.A.R. from her perspective, and I just look forward to it being launched into the world. So Yvonne, wave or throw kisses or whatever. We had a little trouble hearing you. So
Yeah. Oh, thank you, everybody. Nice to connect. Blessings.
Beautiful. So Christy, how about a bye-bye from Santa Fe?
Well, bye-bye from Santa Fe, and I just want to say that such a blessing in my life that I get to be exposed and nourished by Jaylene and Nina's grace on a, I was going to say day to day, but it's more like second to second basis. Because I don't think we're ever truly separated through this project. And I just feel like, wow, if there are two women in this world that know what it means to be Grace, it's you two. And feeling the rest of your presence today, this is so nourishing. It's just like shoving bonbons in my mouth for an hour straight. All of your energy is just so beautiful, and I'm such a stronger person for just having been in your magnificent presence for an hour. So thank you for just being real and true and open, and it's just always a pleasure.
Christy, can you put that in the book? I love it, stuffing bonbons in your mouth. What do you think, Jaylene? You want to say bye-bye from Oklahoma?
Sure, I'll say bye-bye from Oklahoma. I just think this is fantastic. I've really enjoyed everyone's contributions today, and it's so great to get to see your faces and see you be animated while you talk about these things. It just brings everything to life. I know it's kind of fun to see how people go, oh, 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 and you know, you're waiting for that next word to come out, and it doesn't. It's kind of fun. But thank you so much, and thank you all for recognizing Nina's work with S.T.A.R. I know it's made a tremendous difference for me in my life personally, as has Kimberly Maroney. I can speak to that as well. Kimberly, you're such a grace in my life. I love having you in my life. You're a precious being. And thank you, Joanne Sprott. You're the other one I get to know very much because you help us be impeccable with our words, and we so appreciate you for that. It's a grace. Editing is a grace. Okay, thank you.
Oh, I love that.
Bye.
Well, and the viewers, I just thank you so much. And you can see over here. How do I do it? I can't point. On the left-hand side. There we go. On the left. There we go. Right here. The spaces are empty. So we can have some more people live. So maybe some of the viewers will ask Santa Claus for a computer with a camera, and we'll be able to play in person. I want to say that I think, Jaylene, you remember better than I do. Next month is April
22nd.
The 22nd. And I think you chose the topic that's going to relate to Easter. I think it's something like, what do you want to resurrect in your life?
Yeah, we're going to talk about resurrection. There's a really interesting television show that's just come out called Resurrection, if you guys are interested in looking at that on ABC. I'm not sure where they're going with the topic, but resurrection in our life this time of year I think is really key and important, because we do leave behind some things. We let them die on the vine that are ready to be resurrected. Maybe they weren't ready to blossom 3 years ago or 4 years ago, but now is the time that they're ready to blossom, and we just need to pick it back up again. It's time to resurrect some things in our life.
Well, that's so interesting. It almost sounds to me it has something to do with remembering as well.
Yes, remembering, and it just takes time for some things to be ready to be in our life. And I think that as we've gotten past 2012 and we've gotten all the way through 2013, and now we're emerged into the 2014 energies, that maybe some of those dreams that we left behind last century are ready to come now. Maybe they weren't quite ready then, but it might be time to resurrect some of those things that we thought we had to let go of.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Well, so in my final comment, I want to once again explain or share or remind everyone why it is that this to me is so vitally important, that we come together in community with coherent thought and speaking. My understanding of the quantum field is that when we gather two or more, and we are all, so to speak, on the same page, that the energy that we emit from our thoughts and our words goes out into the field, exponentially entangled in magnificent ways, creating waves of possibility that are, astounding, from which we can, as the observer and creator of our new way of being on Earth, can collapse. So what we're doing in My Truth is we are actually imagining and creating at this precise moment by means of the energy of our words and our thoughts. And we have chosen very, very expanded octaves to be working in. So this is no small conversation. This is impacting human consciousness in a profound way. So I honor you as masters, as star seeds who have returned at this unique and specific time in the evolution of human consciousness. So to all of you and to the viewers and those who will be watching in the future, I love to say what my grandchildren teach me in Belgium: bisous, bisous, bisous. And thank you very much. Hopefully we'll see you next month. Okay, bye-bye.